What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to be talking about all of the alternate art leaders which are coming around in Op-07 500 years in the future. I've shown you the leaders before. What I haven't done is show you them all in one video, and way more importantly, I haven't shown you all the lovely alternate arts. And let's start off with Rob Luchi here. I like Rob Luchi. And you can see that you've got Khalifa and Kaku there, chilling in the background. And this kinda makes perfect sense. They are two of the main dudes from CP0, and look, we have very clearly gone to what we had in OP04 and what we had in EB01, and I, for one, am absolutely delighted. I have said many a time, and I stand by this opinion, that these are the best the One Piece have done in terms of alternate art leaders. And I know some people will disagree with me, and that's absolutely fine. Everybody's got their own favourite types of alternate art leaders, but as far as I'm concerned, this is just awesome. I love it. You've got the leader with the subordinates, mostly subordinates, chilling behind them. It's a brilliant way to do it. It means I want to go after these ones as well. We saw them coming, we had them in OP04 and then we had them in EB01, but EB01's extra booster, and there was a real thought that maybe they're just going to essentially have these as a one-off because it's an extra booster. Having it back in OP07 as a main booster, love it, huge fan, this is awesome. Plus, and I made this point before, but I need to say it again, we've had Rob Luchi a few times now. The leader, a bunch of characters, etc. This is the first time Rob Lucci's actually come in his Devil Fruit form in the card game outside of an event card. I think that is brilliant, and I'm a huge fan. So yeah, this is kind of awesome. Now, as for what Rob Luchi actually does here, we've got a black leader. Remember, we got one for each color. They're all mono here. And you've got, when attacking, you may trash the top two cards of your deck to give up to one of your opponent's characters -1 cost for the turn. So you're adding cards to your trash, which is something that black decks absolutely want to do, and you're reducing cost, which is something that black decks absolutely want to do. This doesn't strike me as a super overpowered leader, but you've got all the CP stuff that you can be having a play around with, and this is one which I'm going to be testing it anyway. This is cool. Now, in terms of which one is going to be the big money card from the set, it's going to be Boa Hancock. Let's be perfectly clear about that. Boa Hancock is the one that everybody is going to be desperately after, and I don't think there's even really much of a worry here. Boa Hancock is just the big card from this set in terms of leader, and this alternate art is going to be huge. You've got Salome there, the snake. You've got some of the others there who are, they're snaky, but they're not as cool. But it's alternate art leader Boa Hancock. This is going to be the one that people get super excited about. If you're a Boa Hancock fan or you particularly like the look of this one, might I suggest trying to pull it from a pack or saving up a few pennies? Because this one I don't think is going to end up being cheap. Now, in terms of leader here, we got ourselves a mono blue leader. And we've got during your turn, once per turn, when a character leaves play due to one of your abilities, if you have 5 or fewer cards in hand, draw a card. And obviously there's a bunch of stuff in this set which essentially revolves around removing your own characters with your own abilities, and then you get to do some draw power as well. And that's largely what we're talking about here. This is going to be consistent draw turn after turn, and you know what? That sounds alright by me. It's just lots of draw power. And that sounds kind of cool. Now, Jewelry Bonny, we saw Jewelry Bonny before, but the look we had before was frankly terrible, and it's just rubbish, honestly. Like, the look we had before was not good. We didn't have a good quality look. It made all of us sad. Well, wonderful news. This time we've got a proper look, which isn't going to make us sad. And that's rather lovely. And I've made the point before that Bartholomew Kuma probably should have had a leader in this set when you look at the theming of the set with the Egghead Island arc. But look, we're at least getting one. We are getting a Jewelry Bonny with Kuma on the art, which is thematically very appropriate and kind of awesome. So, perfect? No. Honestly. Decent substitute if we can't have an actual Kuma leader? Yeah. I think it's a nice substitute if we weren't going to get a Kuma leader. Now, what Jewelry Bonny does here is when your opponent, it's a green, again, they're all mono leaders here, and when your opponent attacks once per turn, you can pay 1 to rest one of your opponent's leader or characters. And this is one of those ones where the skill is actually quite understated. This is not some big fancy skill that you look at and you read and you're like, oh my word, that's absolutely broken. But it actually is one where I think in the long run, this is going to prove to be a really, really good playable card. And I think this one's going to see a whole bunch of play. Resting characters, resting leaders is good. It is something which works out nicely, and it is something that a lot of decks do and do well. And there's a lot of cards that interact with rested characters. So, sure, just resting a character might not sound particularly impressive, but being able to rest one of your opponent's characters every turn, yeah, that'll do quite nicely. Now, we are getting a Foxy in this set, and I've made the point that Foxy is, I don't think as deserving as some of the other leaders. I'm not saying we should never have gotten a Foxy leader. I am suggesting that maybe getting a Foxy leader this early was not something we necessarily needed. But it's still kind of cool. And what we've got here, this is our mono purple leader for the set. And when attacking, Don -3, if you have 3 or more Foxy pirates in play, you choose up to one of each of your opponent's rested leaders and characters, and they do not become active during your opponent's next refresh phase. So you get to take a leader and a character, and they don't activate during your opponent's next refresh phase, which is clearly brilliant. It's also full of downsides. The fact that it's Don -3 is clearly not ideal, and the fact that it basically forces you into playing a Foxy Pirates deck. Because you've got to have 3 Foxy Pirate characters in play. Remember, you can only have a maximum of 5, and then you've got to draw into them and all of that. So, reality is, if you're playing this, it's going to be in a Foxy Pirates deck. And you're going to have to Don -3, and it's not ideal. But being able to take your opponent and take their leader and one of their characters and say they don't activate during the next refresh phase, yeah, that's a very cool skill. Now, Monkey the Dragon is the first one we were told we were going to get, and the first one I believe that we actually saw. We've got a red revolutionary here. And what we've got is activate main once per turn, give up to a total of 2 of your currently attached Don to one of your characters. And there's other characters out there that will essentially accelerate the Don, that will attach it to one of your characters. So essentially here, what you're trying to do is use something to attach a couple of Don, and then use Monkey the Dragon to move them, so you're essentially getting a double dip on this Don that is attached, which is brilliant. As a wording note here, you can move Don from your leader to a character, that's absolutely fine, but you cannot move Don to your leader. That is very important. You can move the Don from anywhere, but it can only be moved to your characters, not to your leader. And then, of course, you've got all the revolutionaries behind Monkey the Dragon. And this is, I'm a big revolutionary fan, all right? But you got Sabo there, you got Bello Betty, you got Ivankov, you got a couple of others. You got some big hitters and some smaller characters there. This is going to be another one that I think people are going to be very excited about. And then we get Vega Punk. And look, I'm well aware that this is the current arc in the manga, right? So this is going to be one that I am particularly excited about. This is one that I'm going to like more than others because this is what I'm reading right now, which is going to make it extra exciting. But look, firstly, I think the artwork is brilliant. And again, if you're reading the current arc of the manga, you're going to look at this and be like, this is kind of awesome. But also, this leader is busted. Like, it's got 2 life, and this leader cannot attack. And you actually need to have both of those downsides because this leader is too good. Because you've also got a skill whereby you pay 1, so yes, that does mean it can be used on your first turn going first, and it lets you either put a 5 cost or less Egghead card face up on top of your life, or put a 5 cost or less Egghead card into play. So you can either pay 1 to play a 5 cost card, that's busted, or pay 1 to put an extra card on top of your life. Which again, absolutely busted. And look, we're going to have to wait for the set to actually release. We're going to have to wait for these tournaments to start being played and people to actually prove what's good or not. But starting off initially, this looks like the leader which is going to be the most interesting from this set. But I've shown you all the leaders now. And I've shown you all of the alternate art leaders, so the only thing left is for you guys to turn around and tell me which one of these you think look cool. So tell me which one of these you think look cool, should you? Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.